Sometimes it is very difficult to choose between wheels and tracks when you buy a piece of earth-moving equipment. Take Jim, for instance. He needs an excavator for a small construction project. What to get? Maybe we can help him out. Hey Jim, what are you looking at? Jim said, I'm looking at the Komatsu PW180-11 wheeled excavator and the Komatsu PC210LC-11 tracked excavator. It seems to me that they could do my job. Only which one should I buy? Each system provides certain features and performance. Moreover, each system has its strengths and weaknesses. Well, Jim, I'm going to give you a series of lists with advantages and disadvantages for both wheels and continuous tracks. With all of these positions in mind, you should be able to choose the best system. Choosing the best system depends on several factors, including traction, ground pressure, suspension, and steering. The traction is greater if you use tracks instead of wheels, but for the best results, this depends on the terrain. If you want less ground pressure, you have to choose the tracks. The tracks have a lower ground pressure than wheels do and are more suited for soft surfaces. For example, less ground pressure will result in less sinking and packing of the ground. For soft surfaces, large tires can be used, but this goes on and has its own limitations and cannot work in all conditions. For example, mud or sand. A suspension for a tracked vehicle is more complicated than for a wheeled vehicle. The suspension system has an important role related to traction by keeping the tracks or wheels on the terrain as often as possible. The wheels have a significant advantage in steering compared to tracks, and this can be translated into good maneuverability for the wheels. Wheeled excavators versus tracked excavators has been a well-known subject under debate for a long period of time. In the following, Jim, you can find the advantages and the disadvantages of both vehicle propulsion types, wheels and continuous tracks. Most wheeled excavators are designed with 4 wheels. This is the most common structure because it allows it to do the following: move quickly, be easily controlled, or turn around in small places. In general, wheels are used for low production cost. This is the case if we compare the prices for wheels and tracks. Speed. Compared with tracks, the wheels need a lower amount of torque to move on from stationary. Maneuverability. The wheels provide high maneuverability compared with continuous tracks. Simplicity. A wheel has less moving parts, which means that there are fewer components that can get damaged or wear out. Lightweight. Continuous tracks are much heavier than wheels, and this is the main reason why wheels are used, especially in cases when the mass of the vehicle is a critical property. For example, space exploration machines. Materials. Several materials can be used to build wheels that meet environmental conditions. Disadvantages of using wheels. Using the wheel is not always the best case. There are some situations where the wheels are not the best choice. In general, wheels are not used when driving over obstacles. Depending on the terrain, a backhoe needs to pass small or large obstacles. For a wheel to get over a vertical obstacle, it has to be at least twice as tall as the vertical obstacle. Mud and sand. Wheels tend to dig in and get stuck because of the lack of surface area. Advantages and disadvantages of using continuous tracks. The continuous band of tracks driven by a series of wheels is used when tires cannot be used. In this area can be added a variety of scenarios, including moving on uneven terrain or, when it's needed, high traction. In general, continuous tracks are used for power efficiency. Compared with wheels, continuous tracks have high performance and an optimized traction system, which is a plus in power delivery efficiency. Traction. The traction is high even on slippery surfaces like mud or sand. Ground impact. An excavator that moves on tracks has a lower PSI on the ground. That means a less impact on the ground, especially when the excavator is heavy. Moving on rough terrain. Using continuous tracks, a tracked excavator can operate on rough terrain where a wheeled excavator would go on and get stuck. Also, the continuous band of tracks can ascend and descend obstacles or cross ditches. Weight growth potential. An excavator with continuous tracks has a weight spread over the entire surface of the track. This is one of the reasons that a giant excavator uses tracks to support the heavy load. Disadvantages of using continuous tracks. Lower speed. Due to more friction and a complex mechanical system, the excavator with continuous tracks has a lower speed compared with excavators on wheels. To sum it up for you, Jim, construction vehicles are generally chosen by the work to be done, the terrain the vehicle has to work on, weather conditions, what is expected of each vehicle, and the length of the project. Wheeled excavators are good for small excavations such as ditch digging and loading operations in relatively dry conditions. When it comes to rough terrain, muddy, or sandy conditions, a tracked excavator like the PC210LC-11 Komatsu would be ideal because of its size and weight and its ability to overcome mud, sand, open ditches, and other obstacles. Well, Jim, have you decided on which excavator to buy?
And yes, this is another brown shipping sleeve box. It is first gear stock number 60-0326, and it is for a Komatsu excavator. Now, sometimes people would ship in these just the way it is, the other box inside, and they just put a label on it and ship it. I don't think that's a good idea. These should be double boxed with packing material around them because we don't want the toys damaged when they are shipped. Get this out of the way, and there's the bottle that's inside this box. That just comes right out of it. This is the 1/64 scale Komatsu PC210LC-11 Excavator. Now this is a mid-size excavator. It's not the great big one. It's not the little bitty one. This is a good size that would fit with a lowboy. It is in 1/64 scale and it is die-cast metal. Please follow the caution. This is an adult collectible. Recommended for ages 14 and over because it has very, very small parts on it. It is not a toy. It is meant to be sitting on a shelf. It comes in special Komatsu packaging with the label, first gear, and up top there's a picture of the real PC210LC-11, and it is in die-cast metal. Both end flaps are exactly the same. It's got the label. It's got the PC210LC-11 excavator and multiple languages, including, I believe, Japanese. Makes sense. Komatsu is Japanese. Manufactured by First Gear. And that's on both end flaps of this box. On the back, you can see some line art drawings of the Komatsu PC210 and then all the dimensions for it except for the weight. And this thing weighs in at 53,882 pounds for an operating weight. So you need a tri-axle low boy and you could haul this baby just fine. Now let's go on and open him up so we can see it. Oh wait, look underneath. Underneath it has information about First Gear, their consumer services, and their collector's guidebook. That is really cool because it gets you up to date on all of the models that they have made. And over here, you got 60-0326. That's the item number and the barcode. Used under permission of Komatsu. When First Gear wanted to go into construction stuff, they went with Komatsu instead of anything else, which wasn't the greatest idea for making it profitable, but were the first in a long time to give us 64 scale construction. They gave us the excavator and 2 dozers. Now what I did, a trick for these types of packages, they got these little flaps that they fold in. To keep from tearing your box, use a little, like a knife, a table knife, slide in there and pop them up. It really will save your box. Now inside, it's got a hardboard mural piece in the back so it doesn't look like brown cardboard. Then the model is sitting in a 2-piece plastic blister. And this is the style where it lifts up instead of down across the front. And just lift that off. And then carefully, because it's got 2 little plastic tabs that hold the bucket in place so it doesn't flop around, carefully pull it out. And there it is, the Komatsu PC210LC. I think that's enough for this video. Or do you really want to see the rest of it? I don't know. Maybe we'll just talk about the rest of it. I think that would be a better idea. Now, you can see the hoe extends like this. Yep, I was right. It needs a little teeny drop of super glue to hold that hose in place. The bucket, carefully. Now, these pistons are actually pretty stiff. They're steel pistons and plastic sleeves. But it goes out, it dumps, it pulls in, and it raises up and down. Also, it rotates over its tracks like the real one. And you can see they are real working metal tracks. Isn't that cool? 64 scale, and they managed to make them real working tracks. Yep. Needs a little teeny tiny drop of super glue, and I'll be very careful with it for this video, and then I'll fix it afterwards. Now let's pull it up here closer. You can see these tracks, there's plenty of little slack in them like there should be, and then they work. Pretty cool. They got the front guide roller, the rear drive roller sprocket, and then the other ones, they're not real rollers, they're just molded into the base, but everything rides on it, so it's okay. Up inside the cab, you can see it has a high back seat and the 2 joysticks to operate the machine. The 2 levers are there in the front, just like they should be. Full detailed dashboard, clear glass where it should be. It has its mirror right there so the driver can see. Komatsu above the door. PC210LC right there. A handrail area, guardrails up top. Now that's a plastic piece. The cab is another plastic piece. The body is all die-cast, so is the base piece. This part of the hoe is actually die-cast, and so is this one. And the hoe itself is die-cast, and so is the bucket. Now the piston sleeves, where the pistons go in, is actually all plastic, but that's okay. Now let's go around to the back. See the tracks, and you can see how it pivots right around on those tracks. Really nice. It says Komatsu. It's got reflector brake lights and danger warnings there. Up top, you can see the top of the engine with the exhaust pipe right there coming out. Tracos don't have much of an exhaust pipe, more or less just a little tailpipe sticks up and points backwards. But that's all they need. Come around to this side, handrails and ways you can walk up, and those handrails are okay. They are plastic, so they are probably easier to break, but nothing to really worry about. And the hoe is there. Round to the front. Back up. You can see the whole machine, but let's go at a little bit of an angle. You can see the cab, and over there you can see the cab It has all the hydraulic lines hooking up the hydraulic hoses, which it would really need. That's pretty cool the way they did that, and the tracks. That's what really makes this a $65 to $70 versus the $20 toy that Diecast Masters made. Now holding it up this way, you can see the hydraulic lines, and then there's the steel hydraulic lines that are replicated in plastic, coming up and going around and to all the places. There's also the other hydraulic lines down in the machine. The steps where you would step, where they have some little grippy type tape, they tampoed that in black, so it looks like you've got your steps walking around up there and your little handrails. Let's turn him underneath. I'm sure this is the right way to go. It says copyright 2017, First Gear Inc., Peosta, Iowa, licensed by Komatsu. And then you can see the detail for under the track and the underneath the track hoe. They did a really nice job. I'm sure Komatsu wanting stuff is one of the big drivers for them making 2 Komatsu pieces instead of scaling their international stuff they already did. But I'll take what I can get. And these Komatsus are the best 64 scale construction you can get today is these pieces, the Komatsu track hoe and dozer that they made. And I did a video on the dozer, so go check it out if you haven't seen it already. And then this is the Komatsu PC210LC tracked excavator for nobody. It's just a brand new machine that you could put on your diorama, either out there as a diorama piece sitting in a construction site, sitting on a sail lot, look really great on a sail lot, or setting on a triaxle lowboy. It is a die-cast metal piece with real working tracks by First Gear.
Jim did decide on an excavator and bought himself a Komatsu PC210LC-11 to handle his workload. You can buy a 1/64 scale version of Jim's new Komatsu with the link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and be sure to smash that like button, tap the subscribe button, and share this video. I'm Logan, the 64th Gear Jammer Skeele, and I'll be back soon with another episode of Toy Talk.